this thing.
Okay, I know what you're all thinking. Weeb! And yes, I am reviewing an anime series. But let me explain myself. The reason why I might watch an anime series isn't really to see which hero or adversary is strongest, or who has the best ship, or how a girl tackles with high school and prom dates. The reason I watch an anime series is the same reason I watch any TV series, for a story well told. And one of these which really stood out to me was Death Note, a supernatural crime thriller where a teenager suddenly gains the power to kill anyone just by knowing their name and face. So how exactly will this show play out? And just how good is it? And just a warning, there will be spoilers for the whole show in this review, so I'd advise you to watch it for the full experience of the show. Unless you don't really care, it's up to you. So anyway, this is Death Note, the review. So the show starts off in the world of the gods of death, or Shinigamis. But we will bother here since we hardly see it anyway, so we meet our main character, Light Yagami. What's up?
Did you know that Yagami, spelled backwards, is...
Yes, I know. So Light is an extremely gifted, clever high school student, a little run down with life, when suddenly he notices an object fall from the sky.
Death Note? As in a notebook of death? How to use it? The human whose name is written in this notebook shall die.
If the cause of death is not specified, the victim will die of a heart attack within 40 seconds.
This note will not take effect unless the writer has the person's face in their mind when writing his or her name. Therefore, people sharing the same name will not be affected.
Better write my own name in this, to make sure no one else takes it. Shit. So Light decides that with this book, he should kill off all the world's major criminals in order to make the world a better place, by watching the news and the internet. I mean, imagine what you could do with this book. Let's see, Let's see.
Our president just collapsed and stopped breathing. Call back later.
But at the same time, it would be a shame if there were any fake stories up on the internet. But he suddenly gets greeted by...
You've taken quite a liking to it. I am the Shinigami Ryuk. That used to be my notebook.
Yeah, Ryuk does look pretty awesome and intimidating here. But that kinda gets lost when you see...
I have a pear. I have pineapple. Pear, pineapple, apple, pear.
So he explains he has to watch over Light, who now owns one of his Death Notes, until the book gets finished, or Light dies, whichever comes first. And it's not long until people start noticing criminals are dying of heart attacks in high proportions, giving Light the nickname Kira, and we suddenly learn that Ryuk has become addicted to...
Hey, are you even listening?
apples.
What's the best way to describe these? Juicy?
But you see, what makes this show really clever is the amount of Christian symbolism that's in it, with the idea of being God, and whether this is the right thing to do or not, which is especially apparent in the openings. The fact that the user can go to neither heaven nor hell is absolutely ingenious, because on one hand, ridding the world of criminals is supposed to make the world a better place, and on the other hand, it's mass murder. So anyway, the devs are brought to the attention of L, the greatest detective in the world, and decides to make a TV announcement.
What you're doing right now is evil.
I am justice! I protect the innocent and those who fear evil!
But what did you think was gonna happen? So after triggering OCD people everywhere, it turns out Light has already been tricked by L, and that he's now worked out the region he now lived in.
The truth is, we are only broadcasting in the Kanto region of Japan. I now know where you are.
This L guy is pretty good.
and threatens him with execution upon finding him, making it a 1v1 game of...
I will find you. And I will kill you.
So what arises is a highly intense match of chess between L and Kira, with Light looking to expose the information required to knock out L, but one false move would lead to his comeuppance. Not to mention Light's dad is working with the police force trying to catch Kira. This is when Ryuk explains a very special temptation for a power.
He can grant that human the eyes of a Shinigami. The price for having a Shinigami's eyes is half of that person's remaining lifespan. That's all it is.
But Light heartedly decides to refuse this offer, valuing his lifespan in order to
Become the god of this new world.
So after Light discovers an FBI agent is following him, and how he's able to manipulate the times and causes of death, he subsequently pulls off two cunning stunts, the first of which takes place when a criminal attempts to hijack a bus. Set up by Light's plan, he's able to get his stalker's name.
Who the hell are you? You in the very back. What do you think you're doing? Don't mess with me!
Oh, you touch my tra-la-la. My ding-ding-dong.
Fatality.
And then he single-handedly gets him to take out all of the other FBI agents.
Turn around and you're dead. I am Kira.
You know everyone in a 10-meter radius has just heard you say this, In fact, why couldn't he ask him to do this in cover? Like, I don't know, in a restroom?
Don't turn around or put your hands in your pockets. I won't hesitate to kill you here.
Have to do everything myself. Okay, carry on.
Ray Penber wrote all of those names on pages taken from the Death Note.
And after pulling that off, he proceeds to end Ray Pember's life.
It seems like you're pretty skilled with your hands. I bet you're pretty popular with the girls, aren't you? Deep in the night, I'm looking for some fun.
However, Ray's fiancée and former FBI agent who used to work with Al gets suspicious and decides to try and give vital information over to the police. But Light goes and spends 2 whole episodes trying to get her name, and eventually kills her. And yet, her death is pretty hard-hitting, especially how she managed to become such good friends with Light. But I can't help but want to see more from her, and have her play a much larger role in this investigation, because of all the potential this character was given, considering how big a role she played with Elle in the past, so we're told. I know the material telling this story does exist, but I'd have preferred it to see at least a bit more of this in the actual show, rather than just a short spin-off. Anyway, this calls upon Sherlock Holmes to take aboard only men willing to put their lives on the line to catch Kira, and later meets up with them face to face.
Let me start by saying nobody takes notes on anything that's said in these meetings. That means when we leave headquarters, any information we need is committed to memory.
And so we meet the man who inspired millions to sit like this. Because he says it makes him clever. And because it's fun. Anyway, Elle declares them all the task force that will be taking on Kira, and that he wants surveillance on their family homes, including Light's room. And I confess, when I started watching this, I heard talk of a potato chip scene, and that it was really popular, and that gave me the impression that there'd be a really dramatic scene involving a potato chip. Like maybe his family finds out that he's Kira. But in actuality, this was the scene.
I'll take a potato chip and eat it.
Yep, true story. So with Light avoiding suspicion with the cameras, Elle decides to investigate Light even more, 21 Jump Street style, by acting as a student at his new college undercover so he can get...
I want to tell you, I'm Al.
Okay, fine. But everyone sitting a few seats away from you has just heard you say this. I mean, surely you couldn't have picked a more private place, like, dare I say, a restroom? And you know how fast news travels around schools, you sorry excuse for a genius? Well, at least he actually whispered this. And so the two of them seem to get close to one another with a casual match of tennis.
I'm a Shinigami, so I'm afraid your bullets aren't gonna kill me.
Theory confirmed. Tennis balls can kill Shinigami. and L decides that he needs to get even closer to Light, revealing that he suspects that he's Kira.
I suspect that you, Light Yagami, are in fact Kira.
I mean, it's good to get the ball rolling on a relationship at school nice and early.
Damn, L! I've never been so humiliated in my life!
Okay, I guess not. But just as L starts to home in on Light Yagami, matters become even more complicated as he receives a message from an entirely new Kira.
We have a professional obligation to share this message with you. I assure you that this is not a hoax and that Sakura TV is not airing this tape for the purposes of sensationalism. And now, the video.
Hashtag new intro high. Hey everybody, Species 20 here. If you have any idea what's going on, I might have to execute you. I'm not gonna stop altogether, of course. Whenever I can during the past few weeks, I will execute you. That's right, I had to get it done in a few hours because it was on that very day I was going on holiday.
Don't you get up?
So I got up 8 o'clock in the morning, went downstairs.
Stop this broadcast! We can't let him finish!
I might have to execute you. Just got on with that. But fear not, my faithful companions. For when this is all over, I shall execute you in greater numbers.
So this calls for L recruiting Light to join the task force to give his insight on the recordings.
Now that you've seen proof of my powers, you should have no trouble believing that I am Kira.
Personally, I think it's Kylo Ren.
From what we've seen, he sympathizes with the real Kira.
Are you assuming second Kira's gender?
I think he might even be willing to obey the original.
I mean, this person has to be anonymous, so it could really be anyone. And as it turns out, the second Kira is in fact a girl, going by the name of...
Misa, I gave that death note to you.
Misa?
Misa called Jaja Binks. Misa, your humble servant.
So she's talking with her Shinigami, Ren, who explains how it's possible for a Shinigami to die.
I wasn't the one who killed him. I just happened to be around when he died.
Sure, mate.
The only way to kill a Shinigami is to make them fall in love with a human.
What a beautiful way to kill.
Okay, is it just me that finds that line hilarious? Seriously, it could be up there with the potato chip line. Anyway, she explains how Misa was once watched over by a Shinigami named Jealous. Symbolism? And how he expanded her lifespan by killing off somebody who was supposed to kill her, which is forbidden in the Shinigami realm.
All this time I thought it was luck, but it was a Shinigami who saved my life that day.
Yes, Jealous loved you enough to die for you.
So she sets out in hopes of meeting him, and they just happen to be in the same restaurant, and not notice each other. Seriously, neither of their Shinigamis were around at the time? I mean, yeah, they can't see each other's Shinigami yet, but they can at least inform each other if they were there. So the way she actually learns Light is Kira is by seeing that he doesn't have his lifespan to her eyes, which could have easily been seen back in the restaurant.
Just forget it.
So anyway, she goes round to his house in order to begin cooperating with him.
Don't you need someone to see Al's name? If you want, I could be your eyes. So...
Yeah.
Would you please make me your girlfriend?
Girlfriend?
Because it isn't an anime without some kind of love story between the MCs. So Light reluctantly allies with Misa.
Oh, wow.
I'm looking for some how's it going?
So Misa meets with L and Light at the college, and appears to stir up a crowd.
No way! Somebody just touched my butt!
This is an outrage. Taking advantage of this situation is unforgivable.
Oh, Ryuga, you're so funny.
I want to touch her too.
Wait, did you hear that?
I want to touch her too.
It's time. Or were you planning to be late again?
No, I'm sorry, Yoshi.
Let's go.
and as she leaves, Light takes his time to give her a call and ask for Elle's real name.
We've taken her into custody under suspicion of being the second Kira.
And so, they've arrested Misa under suspicion that she's the second Kira, and holy sh**! Looks like they've captured the secret daughter of Hannibal Lecter. Anyways, things are looking quite bleak for Light now, but there was no way he was backing down just yet. He just needs to think of another cunning plan to break Misa out and get the name of Elle, and finally...
I could be Kira.
Whatever. I give up. So Light has now been put in detention, like Misa, and after some time, decides to relinquish ownership of the Death Note.
Get rid of it. Huh? Later.
Which results in Light losing his memory of ever having the notebook.
Why am I doing this? I don't belong here. Ryuzaki.
This whole thing's completely pointless. Huh? Because I'm not Kira.
You have to get me out of here!
So with no confession of being Kira, Elle comes to the only logical conclusion.
But it feels good to finally be cleared.
No. I am afraid you two are being taken to your execution. I'll see you in hell.
No, Dad! You used a blank?
Blanks can kill at point blank range! But anyway, since none of them retaliated with the execution, Elle releases them, but seals himself with Light.
If you're with them 24/7, then how are we supposed to go on dates together?
It'll have to be the three of us.
No way!
And Elle seems to have been involved in his own project meanwhile.
23 floors above ground and 2 below. Although it's impossible to see it from the outside.
No, I'm sorry, no.
No!
Nope.
9!
Meanwhile, it appears that killings have increased again, and it's somebody within the top executives of the Yotsuba company. Wait, what? Okay, so I know that this is the next story arc, and that the show doesn't really want to reveal too much of what's actually happened, but I found that this introduction to this story came quite sudden, especially given the change of pace that the series has received, with Light and Misa no longer being Kira and forgetting about ever being it, and now they're the good guys with Elle trying to take on an adversary we've never heard from before. Though afterwards the idea settles in quite quickly, and the show also takes time to develop some of the members of the task force, including Aizawa leaving the task force to spend more time with his family, and everyone's favourite task force member. Besides Elle.
The last thing I want to be is dead weight.
Mogi's been incredibly efficient from the start.
Quiet, Matsuda. This is not the time to be fooling around.
Would you cut it out? That is his specialty.
And could you get me another cup of coffee?
Matsuda!
Anyway, Matsuda, in a bid to prove his usefulness, infiltrates the Yotsuba Tower to overhear their conversation.
Matsuda, you idiot!
So they come up with an elaborate plan to rescue him.
Wow, I am so drunk. Hi everyone, everyone having fun? Good. That's great.
Okay, he doesn't die here. He's actually caught on a mattress below, and these two new members of the Force roleplay in his place and pretend that he died. And so we're more than halfway through the show, and so it's time for a new opening.
I can't believe my son is looking at those magazines.
Was I the only one who couldn't help but laugh all the way through this new opening when I first heard it? It must have been the shock of sudden heavy death metal in the place of the old, more calmer opening we were used to. Also, I really want to get off Ryu dancing with his apple. Anyway, now the task force has begun spying on the Yotsuba group personally.
Kira has demonstrated that we must be committed to these meetings. We now know what will happen if we try to leave.
I think we all understand what Hattori's death means for the rest of us. Let's not take it lightly.
Hold on, isn't that Morpheus? So Misa goes over to represent the Yotsuba group to become their spokesperson, when Rem decides to reveal herself and revive Misa's memory. And she does it in a restroom where no one else can see them. And so Misa plays it cool as Rem reveals who the current Kira is. And so she gets the job and returns pretty upbeat.
Would you believe 3 out of 7 guys already messaged me asking for a private date?
What?
And especially this guy. So Misa manages to get Higuchi to stop killing, which puts it as evidence for the task force that he is the new Kia. And with that, they devise an elaborate plan to catch him and try and learn his killing method. So they arrange for him to see Matsuda on TV so that he'll reveal the identity of Kira, which he'd be certain of since he'd listened in on them.
I'll kill him. I'll kill him no matter what.
And bug Higuchi's cars so they can see and hear what he is saying. And unable to find out his real name, he decides to make the ideal. Because that's what's ideal, am I right? And subsequently ends up in a police chase. This is the first proper action sequence we've had, isn't it? And so after that exhilaratingly tense sequence, Higuchi gets caught and a death note gets discovered.
It's a monster!
Please calm down. It really is a Shinigami.
Well, the idea must have sunk in from earlier then.
Shinigami.
And with that, Light's memory returns to him touching the notebook. And as it turns out, this was all according to his plan. Come to think of it, guess I should probably help out then.
Hey, Higuchi!
And with that, Rem and the Death Note are brought back in for inspection, but they find some extra rules on the Death Note, which, if true, would take Light and Misa off of suspicion completely, and thus they get taken off surveillance. And when she finds her old Death Note, the only thing she has to do is remember L's real name from the college visit and kill him off for good. Just one small problem.
I don't remember his name anymore.
But on the positive side, guess who's back? And after L and Light stand in the pouring rain for no reason other than L hears some bells, they proceed to dry each other off.
Hey, you'll get used to it.
Now, a lot of people have commented how weird this scene appears to be, but it's actually really symbolic. We've already established how much symbolism in this show is based around Christianity, and this part's no different. In the Bible, Jesus proceeded to wash the feet of his disciples, including the feet of Judas's, who's famous for betraying Jesus by exposing him to the Roman Empire, which subsequently leads to his death. And because he washed their feet the day before he got taken by the Empire, it means So anyway, L manages to come up with the perfect plan for testing the 13-day rule.
I'm gonna try out the notebook for real. The person who will write in the book is a criminal scheduled to be executed in just over 13 days. If he's still alive 13 days after writing the name, he'll be pardoned from execution. If we work this out, the entire case will be solved.
But if I have anything to say about it...
Jake, I am L. Listen to that name. You can't kill me.
You're right. Them. Kill L and Lottery.
Then!
Not to worry, as we have the perfect excuse.
You won't get no dessert till you clean off your plate, so eat it. Don't you tell me you're full, just eat it.
And so, the Kingpin is terminated, and Light can now go on to create a new world free of crime, with no one left to stop him. Although if L had looked at the earlier entries and matched the handwriting with Light's, then he would have been caught. So that was Death Note, and it's an absolutely fantastic show that rarely... What's that? It's not over. There's 12 more episodes. Are you sure? Fine, I'll cover the rest of the show. But since this review's already taken... Oh. Then I'll just go over the important parts. So after 13 whole minutes of recap, Light takes over the position of L and moves into an apartment with Misa to carry on executing people secretly, including the rest of Yotsuba. 5 years later, a new adversary called Nia is investigating Kira. Light's sister gets kidnapped by Nia's jealous brother Mello, who's a fellow who likes biting chocolate, and offers to release her in exchange for the Death Note after they begin talking with Nia, codenaming himself as N, because M was already taken, who knows that the original L died, which was kept secret by the way. Light's dad obtains the Shinigami eyes, and he leads a team of people to raid Mello's headquarters. They find Mello, but Light's dad fails to write his name down. He gets away in an explosion, which causes Light's father to die.
Dad! Wake up! Come on, damn it!
It turns out that Ryuk stole that Death Note from another Shinigami which he gave to Light, who comes back to take it back, leaving one book remaining. Mello goes to Nia to tell him some important details.
Some of the rules written inside are actually fake.
This makes N suspicious that Light is Kira, and informs this to the whole task force. And so Light, to avoid suspicion, hands the notebook over to somebody else, a man called Mikami. And for a character introduced quite late into the series, the writers do their best to develop him as a character, giving him actually quite convincing and rather interesting backstory. But when you think of him, all you think of is this.
Delete. 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 Delete.
I mean, look how many things you can parody this with.
Delete. 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 Delete.
But N becomes suspicious of him too, and has ordered the crew track him. Eventually, Nia calls for both teams to arrange to meet each other at a location, where Mikami will write all of their names in his Death Note, but in a fake one that Nia's team, the SPK, had swapped out. Then they could take the opportunity to seize it, and whoever's name was not written in it will be the real killer. But Light prepared another fake notebook, so Mikami could keep the real one after all.
Well, Nier, looks like I win. 40!
Light, don't be an idiot and confirm it now. There's still a chance that they could have...
We replaced the entire thing. This notebook here is actually the real one.
So Light Yagami gets exposed, has a mental breakdown, Matsuda shoots him, preventing him from writing any more names, and Ryuk finishes the job by writing his name in his notebook. So this arc wasn't very popular with several parts of the fanbase, probably because it's no longer L tracking Kira, and as hard as it tries, it just isn't as interesting as the previous story was. Though to be fair, it set a really high standard before, which would have been near impossible to live up to. While Nia isn't as interesting and compelling as L, I still think he was a good enough character to put in the way of Light. As for the rest of Death Note, it is fantastic. The concept of it is original and told in a way that keeps the audience intrigued for pretty much all of it, and L's death was pretty much nailed in terms of shock factor. It's one of those animes where the English dub is actually superb in voice acting, especially in the final episode where the performances truly shine. Some people prefer the sub, which is fine, but those who are interested in the dub should definitely check it out. Most of the characters are written out with strong character and to be very identifiable, and the writers try their best to flesh out all the members of the task force, but I guess it depends how into the series you are to say the success is on that one. You know, come to think of it, this series is very similar to Breaking Bad, A really gifted, clever person is committing an evil action in a somewhat unique way, with an unlikely companion being investigated by local authorities, one of which is part of his family, who dies after the main threat has been bumped off due to a new party that has appeared in the final part of the story. And to add to that, Death Note came out in 2006, 2 years before Breaking Bad. As anime, it stands very high above a lot of them, only few meeting up to its high expectations. One Punch Man was the first anime that truly engaged me, but Death Note was the first one I wanted to rewatch momentarily. So, I give Death Note a 9 out of 10. There are parts of it where I was near to giving it a 10. Thank you for taking the time to watch this review, and next time we'll be looking at an animated film from the early 2000s set underwater, starring some fish who attempt to break the norms by...
Remember this name! Oscar the Shark Slayer!
Good night.
捨てた